Hello and welcome to the Death Battle cast. We are surprise. We are the cast and crew of Death Battle and more. I'm Ben, the voice of Wiz from
Death Battle.
Death Battle. That's Chad down there.
I play Boomstick.
He may be in Death Battle. I don't remember. And we are joined by two very special guests today, who were instrumental, absolutely instrumental, in making the fantastic season finale that just aired recently, Hulk versus Broly. Let me introduce, we got first our animation director for the episode, Melanie Stern.
Yay, it's me.
What?
Say hi.
I moved to characters. It's cool.
Yep. It's as simple as that, really.
Yep.
No. And we are definitely going to get into the crazy, complexity and technicality of, how an episode like this comes about. But, of course, we also have Billy, once again, on the cast.
Hey, everybody. How's it going?
Who I believe your official title is Guy Who Makes Shit Look Cool, right?
Yes, that is what's on the business card.
I think that's what we established before.
That's a pretty dope title.
But he was instrumental in the Viz post of the episode, basically making, the Dragon Ball stuff look Dragon Ball, because Dragon Ball is a lot of flashy effects. We're very excited to have you both here. It's going to be, I think, kind of a unique episode of Death Battle Cast, where instead of diving into the random weird facts of characters, we're going to dive into the random weird facts of how animation works, in a way, I suppose, and beyond. But I figured we could go ahead and jump into that, because Hulk vs. Broly, I believe, is well over 3 million views now. It is
wow, that's bonkers.
Apparently very well received, which is awesome, because everybody knows we have a little bit of a mixed history with Dragon Ball characters, but it was very important to me that we present Broly, especially Broly, in a way that really captures who he is. We've done Hulk before, we know how Hulk works, but
Hulk
Broly
smashes.
is new to Death
Hulk
Battle.
smash.
Yeah, Hulk smash. Frankly, Hulk is one of the simpler characters to understand for a Death Battle. I mean, once you get into the nuance of he's got powers from hell and whatnot.
Yeah,
I was gonna say, I was like, there's a little more than I originally thought when we started this. I learned so much.
Yeah, I remember at some point during production going up to Jen, or maybe it was you, Mel, and being like, so Hulk is, how you expect him to be, but also he gets his power from Super Satan. So prepare for that.
Yeah, and I remember after that, our Slack channel for this fight, you can put a description about what it's about, and we put gaining the powers from Super Satan for animation.
Yep. So of course, in order to make this animation as cool as we did, we made sacrifices to Super Satan every day.
It's getting dark and weird.
Of course, as you do.
No. Instead, we relied on these two and the amazing team that has been working on it. So I guess kicking into it, let's go ahead and talk a little bit about how the process started. Obviously, after the script is done and we are, casting voice actors and whatnot, it all comes to you, Mel, to sort of start things off, and storyboards and whatnot made up. But what was the process for you as the project started up? If you can remember, I know this was a while ago.
It's kind of crazy to think it's been almost a year, but no, it was actually really cool because I've never been an animation director before, so this is very new. And one of the things that I got to do for the very first time was actually making the animatic with the storyboards. So that was the very first thing that we did. So figuring out all the timing for the storyboards, and that's also whenever I started trying to find temp music because usually with animation we want to animate to music for beats and consistent rhythm. And so that's whenever I started obsessively listening to Blizzard from the Broly movie. It was very much our pump up song. I think all the animators still really like it. Somehow we didn't hate it after listening to it a million times.
A year later, yeah.
Yeah. And then from there, obviously you reviewed it. You were like, okay, cool. Or had notes.
That's a review process. Okay. Cool.
Cat.
Also,
got it.
yes, chat is wondering, is that a cat or a dog? Because they just saw.
Oh, it's a cat.
it's a cat.
Yeah, she's gone. Sorry.
Oh no, come
I have
back.
too many animals.
Looks very similar to
Um,
my cat, and also has a gigantic tail.
It's great and horrible. She knocks everything over.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, from that, basically we get the characters from modeling. We also, another thing I got to do was actually going into Unreal and making a set for them to destroy, which was really cool. For the space parts, we were just in a giant cube, and then Billy made it very cool after animation because to us it was a checkered board box. That's all it was. But yeah, from there it's animators are assigned different chunks of the fights. They start blocking it out. We have reviews twice a week with Ben and me. And yeah, and one of those reviews, the very first one, or one of the first ones, we actually sat down and watched the new Broly movie, which was awesome.
Yeah, we I think we talked about this on the last cast. We made a point to, I mean, with every death battle, we make it a point to try to, capture, the essence of the characters. It's not just something that I think is very important for the show is we're not just trying to find out who wins. Like, we're also celebrating the characters. Frankly, to me, that's the most important part of death battle, is making sure that the characters are celebrated properly and they represented properly, and it feels like, oh yeah, it is Hulk and it is Broly who are fighting it out. So we always make sure that the animators are familiar, or the whole team is familiar with the characters in as many ways as possible. And in this case in particular, Broly just so happens to have a single movie that encompasses everything he is, because he's only got one movie. So, it kind of works out. So we just sat down and watched it one day.
And it was great reference, and we were able to use like a lot of the moves. So like they actually looked like they could actually come from the movie. So we wanted it to be accurate. So it was very helpful. And I hope I don't get like murdered for this, but I've only seen one episode of Dragon Ball in my life.
Oh wow, really?
Yeah. So
Which episode, man?
the very first one.
and Dragon Ball or Dragon Ball Z?
Dragon Ball.
Gotcha.
That's
Yeah.
the good one.
So I had to do a ton of research for this. So basically, another thing that animators do before like we could actually start animating is just going to YouTube and watching everything, like all the fights and like all the things that make the character the way that they are and everything. So yeah. It was a lot, but it was fun.
I think it's in commentary. I said it's not a Hulk fight until he's grabbing somebody and slamming them back and forth over his head.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Avengers ruined everything, because now every Hulk fight has to have that, or else people are like, "Where's the puny god moment? Come on, man!"
I was impressed you guys brought that out as early as you did, which actually helped set the fight for, hey, this is just the baseline, and now we're going forward from this. He doesn't just do.
We got it out of the way as quickly as we could.
That's just the whole fight. It's just him just constantly doing this
for an hour.
I mean, it kind of is in a way, He does it in the ground, then he does it in the crater, then he does it in space.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah. Okay, so you were talking about using moves from the movie and whatnot. It's really funny. I saw a lot of reaction videos and whatnot where we got to certain moves in the fight, and people were like, "What the heck is that?" And in particular, the chest bump attack.
What is that called? I remember we would laugh about that. It's called like, isn't it God something, or I can't remember.
I don't remember.
It has a name.
All of these Dragon Ball attacks have like crazy ass names. Most of the time, doesn't really matter. It's more so
you know what I appreciated a lot, Ben, was you went through and found the names for them when we were working on it, so that we had something to pull from. But yes, you actually looked up that name at one point.
Yeah.
I mean, fortunately, I believe the Dragon Ball wiki has it all just listed out, so it kind of makes it easy to find. But yeah, it's mostly from like video games and whatnot, because they have to identify it for the moves and whatnot. But yeah, it's some like God Blast or something.
Yeah.
But it's just a
Of course.
literal chest bump that creates an explosion from his pecs. And it's something that Broly does in both the new movie and the old stuff, and the old like timeline or whatnot. But whenever it got to that point in the fight, I just saw people react like, "What the hell was that? Where did they come up with that?" No, man, that's a canon move. That's what Broly does. He's got the power of super nipples.
There you go.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's his new slogan. Super nipples.
I mean, he goes Super Saiyan, Legendary Super Nipples. Like, that's just the next step.
Of course.
Hmm.
I mean, haven't you watched Dragon Ball?
Who's the character? Was it Rocko's Modern Life? Is it really big man that had the like nipples that would let you see the future?
Yes. But
Oh my
that's
God.
the whole fight for some reason. This whole conversation.
There's some
Oh my
really
God.
horrifying imagery in that cartoon.
A little bit.
Oh, I was
Little
gonna
bit.
say one thing to mention. I almost wish I could share like a clip or something. But one thing, whenever we do animation, obviously we can't really do special effects. That's just not our thing. So we have these things called ad hocs, which are just a bunch of shapes. And so this fight, there were so many like random colored squares
Oh yeah.
and like spheres, like just purple spheres everywhere. And that was just something that we did so VizPost knows like exactly what's happening, because otherwise it's just like, what? Okay, cool.
And by
Yeah,
it's
special
like,
effects,
replace
you're
Big
You're
pink
referring to,
circle
like-
with explosion.
yeah, you're referring to like
Yes.
the key explosions, the energy
Mhm.
blast, and things like that.
Explosions, dust, whenever like Broly gets knocked back. I think the animator did these ad hoc bursts for whenever they start breaking reality with their
Mhm.
headbutts.
Yep, it's
Um,
great because it's like a giant cube that turns into 1,000 cubes, which just kind of fly in every
Yeah,
direction.
it was a lot. And it's not actually used in the final. It's just for timing purposes for VizPost. But like our slogan for animation was just like ad hocs for days.
Well,
There's
Yeah,
so
I wish
many
we had a
things.
screenshot so we could show it off.
Yeah.
I could probably pull up an image or something like that and send it to Brian. Like you're a lead animator for Ruby, right? And
Mhm.
is that much different from how it is for like Ruby animation?
Yeah, actually we still use those types of things for Ruby. Not as
Many.
excessively.
Ruby's not super known for exploding planets with a punch, but
Yeah,
You
like
know.
I'm pretty sure one of our animators was like, "Oh yeah, I put like 50 cubes in my shot." And I was like, "How many? What?" Because it was actually for the puny god moment. She was adding these cubes coming from the ground whenever Broly would hit the ground. just
Yeah, for like the dust
just for
effects and
timing
whatnot.
and everything. Yeah. But yeah, we don't do that as excessively on Ruby, but it's definitely a common practice, just so like everyone down the line knows exactly this explosion's happening here, or a character is shooting a bullet or a blast here. So instead of nothing. And then BizPost is like, okay.
you figure it out. That's great.
Yeah.
It's helpful.
Quick
because
interruption. Thanks
I was
to the
about-
chat, Miss
about to
Tech
call it.
Master has helped us out by finding the name of the ultimate chest bump. It is called Wrathful Charge.
Wrathful Charge. I don't know why I thought it was God something.
I mean, half the moves are called God something.
Yeah.
God
Okay.
Bind, God Blast.
Now, is it generated from the
Storm.
chest or from the nipples out? Is the real question.
Apparently, it is a point blank eraser cannon from his chest, which I kind of remember thinking that, but the eraser cannon is usually from his mouth.
Mm-hmm.
I think, if I'm getting the. I don't know. There's a bunch of attacks, and we made this episode like a year ago. I don't remember all those like specific weird video game attack names because it didn't really matter outside of like making sure we were doing the right attacks and the
Mhm,
animation and
mhm.
whatnot. What actually mattered to like the writing and whatnot was making sure that the characters were performed correctly, and we got the right winner and why. But anyway, yeah, that's awesome. What was the process? What was the process like in comparison to like Ruby, just in general?
I feel like with this, there was more. I don't feel like collaboration is the right word, but like Ruby, it's pretty set with the story. Like you can't really change a whole lot of what's happening. But I feel like with Death Battle, it's a lot easier for animators to be like, "Oh, I thought of this cool thing," I want to try it out. And like, I feel like it's easier to be like, go for it, do it.
Yeah.
Which is really cool. And I know that the animators had a lot of fun with it. But it was just it was a lot more free flowing, I guess, if that makes sense. I don't know. I don't really know how to describe it.
In terms of like, there's maybe less structure is the wrong way to put it, but
yeah.
less
Well,
of a.
I mean, highlighting our animators and their style and what they can do has like always been like an important part of Death Battle since we started using animators that weren't Ben.
Yes.
And so yeah, because we have this medium that we're already in this like hypothetical world, you know, of like these two characters meeting, which would never happen in real canon. So it's like, show off some stuff. Let's have some fun. Like we have these things that we know we need to show because they pertain to like the research, but then also like, yeah, you got a cool idea and you just want to like do your thing. Go for it.
Right.
Yeah, and I open up almost every animation kickoff with basically that exact phrase. This is what we need to do, but if you guys can think of anything cool that you want to see on screen, do it.
Yeah.
Because I think in like comparing to Ruby, and not necessarily like implying that Ruby is some sort of like ironclad, strict sort of like production cycle. But it is a show that continues across, you know, multiple episodes of the year, and it's a massive production for. You can think of it as one single production, as opposed to Death Battle, which is multiple little productions throughout the year. The animation for Broly versus Hulk has nothing to do with the animation that happens in the episode before, or prior to that, or whatnot. So it's completely different animation teams, completely different animators.
In Ruby, you can't throw somebody into a mountain because then that mountain wouldn't exist anymore in the world of Ruby, right?
Now we've got continuity.
And yeah, exactly. And just like if, like for example, like in a previous season, like Blake's weapon broke. So now in the next season, her weapon is still broke, and it affects things. Like everything's connected and affects things. So you have to be a little more. I guess you have to think more about exactly what you can do and how it does, like how it affects the overall picture.
Yeah, that means there's a lot more pieces coming together for the animation specifically, whereas Death Battle doesn't have to do that. So that's why I very specifically treat every Death Battle individually, like as its own thing, like in all aspects, even in the writing and whatnot. So some people will say like, well, wait a minute, this episode's calculation is different from the same calculation in a previous episode. And I know like that might seem a little weird to a lot of people, but like I'm of the opinion that it's up to the writer of that episode. It's up to the researchers of that episode. This is their time to figure out how a character should be presented. I'm going to let them do that. I'm not going to like force them to conform to some other episode, because it doesn't matter in the context of our individual episode. Hulk versus Broly is just Hulk versus Broly, not a sequel to a previous episode. And so that also applies to animation. So like, as far as I'm concerned, you guys have no reason to like stick to some previously established style or follow something that was set up in a previous episode, because you might as well just start from scratch and be able to do what you want. And I think that makes a better show overall for this kind of thing.
Yeah,
does that make sense?
Yes. Okay. Yeah, like you rip off Hulk's head, it just reattaches. It's fine.
Exactly.
Hey, we're talking for him today. These people got a whole bunch of great products for you. They can help you keep your hair. They can get you some good vitamins, whole bunch of stuff. And what we are going to talk about today, though, is the subject of ED, which is something that affects a surprising amount of men. Tons and tons. And it's something that has a rather negative stigma about it, which is silly because we have something called science which can fix this problem. You don't have to worry about snake oil or, going to see some stranger in a back alley. No, you can go to forhims.com/ed and you can get set up with a free visit with a online doctor who is obviously an accredited doctor and can prescribe you FDA approved medication to treat ED rather than just like, I don't know, like whispering into the wind and hoping something changes. You do something about the problem and fix it with medicine. And that's the smartest thing you could do. I don't know why you don't do it. It is super simple solution to what some might refer to as an embarrassing problem. and you can just fix it. So you can go to forhims, that's forhims.com/casted and get your first visit for free. Let's go to forhims.com/casted for a free visit. Go check it out. It's a smart thing to do.
That is kind of funny too, because that one, out of all the things, that one does kind of relate to a previous episode, because the last time we had Hulk, he died from getting his head ripped off.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
But then, well, there's a lot more going on than just getting his head ripped off. But that was the final blow, basically. But thanks to Immortal Hulk, the comic book series that introduced Super Satan, things are a little different now, and we wanted to kind of highlight that. But what about you, Billy? What did you bring to the table for this, and how crazy was it for you?
I brought the explosions. I mean, with a team of really great people, obviously, but yeah, no, it's very interesting. Like you said, it's great because we kind of get a reference point going in, and then you're like, go for it. And if you can kick this up a notch, if you've got an idea for it, we can go for it. So, like when planets were exploding and shit, it would be kind of like, all right, I want this to be a big boom, but see what you want to do. So, like when the Hulk throws Brawly through the planet, it explodes into a kind of a gamma nucleus thing at the end of it, which kind of was vaguely implied, but I made sure to make that as obvious as possible when it goes kablooey. So it's like you get to enhance and kind of explore things you wouldn't get to, like Mel was saying with Ruby, where it's kind of like they have an idea of what they want specifically, and you kind of need to stick to that for stylistic purposes. I'm rambling here. I'm sorry.
That's what we do here at Deathbellcast. And you and Christina and the rest of the VizPost team heavily used Unreal for all this, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Unreal was the engine that was used, as well a little bit After Effects. But I think the goal was to kind of stick it as much in engine as possible, and then to, especially with Brawly, get it as close to Dragon Ball style effects as possible, because they're super fun to do.
It's fun. Yeah,
exactly. Like with Brawly, we knew he was going to have his aura on for most of the episode, so it was kind of a case of let's invent something that will look pretty good in 3D from multiple angles, but also kind of replicates that obvious conical spiky shape going on. So I think that was like a 30-part effect that had multiple stages you could turn on and off as he gets up to crazy ultimate Brawly form. I don't know what the hell that gets called anymore, but yes.
Well, it has multiple names.
Yes, it does.
Legendary Super Saiyan or Full Power Broly, if you want to be lame with it.
Yeah,
but that's to the technical term.
Full
Power Broly.
And I gave a shout out to I think in the commentary, but William Ball from the 2D department did the kind of like the base outer effect, and that thing when he gave that to us, I think that really snapped it all together. That was a great addition.
Yeah,
so.
A little bit of collab really cool. Between VizPost and 2D, or I guess 2D VizPost and 3D VizPost there. Which I really love doing that, applying like 2D effects to a 3D fight. I think it always looks really neat, especially when we're doing one of these like more cartoony or anime characters, because that's what they come from. Right. So incorporating some 2D elements is just so cool to me.
I would love to explore even more of that as we get the opportunities, because like you look at something like Fighters, where obviously they've got a static camera, so they don't have to deal with as much spin around as us, but like the 2D effects in that look just amazing. So
I love it. I love it.
It really brings it together.
Yep.
For sure.
Yes. Let's see. I believe.
Speaking of William Ball, real quick, I've been meaning to ask. I don't know if you guys have seen the latest RTAAs that have just gone up, but it's the story that I told on RTP about when I had to go to the hospital because my son hit me in the balls hard enough. Anyway, they put. I laughed so hard because they've had William animate it. So like when it's done, it says animated by William Ball, and it's a story about my testicles. So, and everyone got a big kick out of that. So I was wondering if they did that intentionally. Fun sidetrack. Enjoy.
Or it was just one of those magical things that comes together.
Yeah. Will's a great guy.
Will's awesome.
And now you just boiled him down to a testicle joke.
I didn't. What? I was wondering. I was also promoting other content, Ben. All right.
I'm sorry, Will.
Will's great. I just thought it was funny.
Oh my god. Well, quick shout out to I believe Austin, Quentin, Christina, and Will were all involved in VizPost. Am I missing anybody with that? And then Megan, Andrea, Vito, and another Will for the animation.
Yeah.
I think that's everybody.
It's Megan, Vito, Will, and Andrea, I believe.
And you.
And me. Oh, yeah. I guess.
I mean,
I'm
you
in
did
it.
a little bit, I suppose.
Yeah.
No, you guys were all kicking into that right as the things were we were transitioning work to home, right? Like a lot of this was done.
We finished animating it
Uh-oh.
before it right before
Nice.
it happened.
That's good timing.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
that was like our last actual animation thing that we did. Because for the most part, all the Ruby animation was done at home.
Yes.
So
we needed to get Hulk Broly done, or the animation done, before Ruby production started. So animation kickoff was what?
February? Oh.
Wasn't it in 2019?
I think it was 2020. I think
It might have been very early 2020.
Yeah.
We were working on it in 2019. We definitely had the researchers and writers working on it in 2019. Yeah, so there were a few times over the past year, where we would mention like the season finale, and we'd be like, "Oh, it's gonna be so cool." That's because we'd already finished it. Like, I mean, not all of it.
Well, the animation side, yes.
Yeah, there were pieces that were still being worked on throughout the year. So, like Billy, your side of it, things was still working on it into work from home, and
yeah, I think March, April is when we were really heavy, hardcore into it, and then actually there was a chunk of the space stuff that was just so complicated when they break every reality back to back to back to back. That ended up being kind of close to the release.
Yeah, we extended the post viz or viz post production a little bit in order to make sure that again it really captures that Dragon Ball style. So you were able to come in much later on.
Yep.
Which is crazy to think about how we like made like 90% of the fight in like the first 3 months of the year, or 4 months of the year, and then later on, like 6 months later, we're like, all right, let's come back to this and finish it.
It ended up being accidentally very helpful because it was kind of bookending Red versus Blue Zero for me. So I learned a bunch of like little tricks I could use in the fight for these last stages when everything's just exploding. So it was really good timing, actually.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yep.
Yeah, and you know, we've talked about how the Red versus Blue episode was sort of almost a pilot in a way for how to use Unreal in the show. Like that also affected Hulk Broly, and other things in general for Rooster Teeth, because Death Battle is such a good way to test out stuff like that. Sort of experiment. Like we've been experimenting with Unreal with Death Battle for a while now. We were the first show at Rooster Teeth to start using it, because that was like the whole point, is like we're going to learn it and then help teach it throughout the rest of the company. So which is why Christina was a major force for Hulk Broly early on, and also RVB, because that was kind of her thing, is learning the Unreal stuff. So it's really interesting. I don't know, just especially coming from the old days of Death Battle, where it was just like me and Chad and Torian and that's it. And a 2D animator every so often. Like it's really
not a whole lot of time
to
figure out new
like
stuff.
To like become this like this web
full production. Like we can use all the
just full
resources
production,
and
just this web throughout all of Rooster Teeth, and how all the different productions all like kind of, I mean, connect in certain ways. Like Death Battle and Ruby don't really have anything to do with each other, but like you look at the pipeline and how we, you know, put everything together, it's like, oh, it's overlapping all the time. You know, Red versus Blue overlaps with everything as well. That's just how production works at Rooster Teeth, and it's really neat because everybody's working together, even if they're not technically on the same show as each other.
And so like you hear about all these different avenues and like different things that have to be done to like make the fight as cool as it is, and then you look back and you're like, Torian used to have to do all of that like by himself.
Well,
and just figure it out. It was like, oh, we need some crazy explosion. So he was like all aspects of animation for us, and it's still crazy to think about, especially like seeing where we are now.
He carried a lot of that into Zero as well, because he knows the entire pipeline, which is quite impressive. I wouldn't trust me animating Jack Diddley, so
Yeah, I was gonna say. Well, there's a reason why he is in charge of a whole animation show. Kind of worked out that way. Oh man. All right. Well, I don't even think I have asked you guys. What did you think of the episode overall?
I liked it.
I loved it.
Yeah.
I
Especially
mean, I
once
might be biased.
no, once we got like the sound in, especially, like I was like, wow,
Mhm.
this is so awesome. Like you see it in pieces for so long, especially out of order, and you're just concerned that about how it's going to flow together. But once you finally see it with the final mix and everything,
Oh
blew me
yeah,
away.
and it was cool too. Whenever we did the commentary, that's the first time I think I had seen the actual like space and reality like part
Hmm.
of it.
Mhm.
And it was really, really, really cool to see. And it was so pretty to watch. Billy, you did such an amazing job,
thanks.
and everyone else on VizPost. Like it. I mean, it's cool seeing it in animation and then just seeing how different it is whenever you guys make it actually look pretty.
My favorite note for the space sequence early on, Ben, was you said make it more anime, and you were right.
Perfect direction.
Yeah.
I was gonna
Just
say,
make it
those
more
revi-
anime.
Turn up
Those
the anime.
reviews were always so great because it was just like, make it bigger, make it greener. Okay, cool.
Yeah, there's so much green. So much
Yeah.
green in that fight.
Yeah, it is interesting because like Hulk versus Broly is not necessarily a fight that requires a lot of nuance to how it's presented, right? It's just two big dudes punching each other very, very hard. So when it came time to like reviews and going over how things looked, like I really didn't have much to say in regards to like, I mean, clearly these animators know what they're doing. I'm like, I don't really feel like I need to, change a whole lot from what they've already made. And the boards look great, so they're already following something that looks great. So really, the only thing that I need to make sure happens is it looks as big and crazy as like Dragon Ball does nowadays.
Yep.
And how Hulk, and make sure that Hulk's strength is like, presented in a way that makes him feel unbelievably strong. And that was like my main thing in the reviews, honestly. Like everything else just sort of flowed well enough on its own. Like I almost didn't even need to be there to make sure that everything else looked good because Mel was already directing the animation so well. So
Oh, thanks.
it was really it was one of the easiest, productions, I suppose, or at least director jobs I've had. I suppose because I could just kind of let everybody do their thing and just be like, "I'll just make it bigger." That's all.
That's what a lot of the notes were, and it was good. It was a lot of fun. Yeah.
I'm sure that's very different from a typical Ruby session.
Yeah, Ruby hasn't technically been to space yet, so that was fun to figure out. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see.
And I don't know anything. And like
I know
said,
I know how to end.
Yeah.
oh my god. And like just like little things that are there is like when they're in space, Hulk has no control really. He just kind of floats around. The only way he moves is if Broly hits him or if a planet explodes. Like little things like that, I think make it really like cool and special.
What made
Like
that
I
whole-
love there's a shot where Broly's just like teleporting or whatever and like hitting him and just knocking him around. And he can't do anything.
He's just flipping around. Yeah.
Hulk is just sort of left to his own devices of like, all right,
Yep.
gravity's gone. I'm just gonna let myself be carried. But it's Hulk.
Yeah.
Like he's freaking invincible. So he's like, I don't care. I'll just take it and then punch him whenever he comes within range.
Yep.
I tried
Which
to
is
make
kinda
it come
the idea.
across with the background, as point of reference. But like when you guys were animating it, you actually had them floating through this giant empty void, so you get these two little dots just like flying millions of miles across.
And then we try to put in a sphere in there and be like, it's a planet.
I can't. That was extremely helpful because I knew where I was.
Okay, that's good because like it's always interesting because with planets you don't know if you should fake it and just make a really small sphere and it looks like it's in the distance, or you make a really big one and then you just push it way back in 3D space. So like
Oh,
those
that's
kind of
interesting.
things are weird.
Yep.
I I actually don't remember what we did. It's been so long. But yeah.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if the planet that you made is big or small. It's just how it looks on camera
Mhm.
that matters.
Unless they're making it explode, in which case it matters a little bit. But
Yeah.
Sure. But like in reality, during the whole fight,
Oh.
Hulk and Broly were actually just 1 inch tall.
right,
Yeah, and that's actually a good point to bring up too. Is I know at least in my shots, they probably look so broken outside of camera
Mm.
because a lot of the stuff is animated to camera. Like one of the shots I did was whenever Broly bursts up from behind the rocks and then he flies forward and punches Hulk, and then you kind of like follow him fly.
That's one of my
And
favorite
do his
shots in the
thing.
whole thing. By
Yeah,
the way, because
that-
it looks so perfectly Dragon Ball.
Oh, thank you. But yeah, that is one of those shots where I think in actual, like if you just look at it, they're probably actually moving really slow because the set is only so big, but you have to fake it. And actually, I'm pretty sure Hulk wasn't moving very fast at all. And it's just kind of crazy how many cheats you could do in animation to make it look cool.
Yeah, because in that shot, then it's not just them moving; it's the environment as well to make that speed effect.
Mhm.
So
And
move.
yeah, and like vocal in the camera, you can change stuff to make it
Yes.
look further and closer. I think I mostly did that because I don't think we could actually move the set, or probably Billy would be like, "No,
Why?
please no." And also we have, I don't know if I actually used it, but we have a 3D card that fakes speed lines.
Fake
so
speed lines. What?
fake speed lines.
Like there are real speed lines?
Okay, yes. Yes, exactly. I don't know. I put into speed lines and it looks fast. It's so cool.
Well, you know, we'll let everybody know whenever we figure out how to make real speed
I
lines.
love that. I don't know.
I-
I put in the speed lines and it looks fast.
I think-
fair enough.
I think I consider the Viz post lines real and the animation ones fake.
Okay, so we have figured out how to make real speed lines. That's good.
There you go.
All right, I'm glad.
Yes.
I love it.
Also another animation thing that happened too, whenever we were animating Hulk, for some reason he had white hair the whole time.
Yeah, he
You
did.
remember
He
that,
did well,
Ben?
well into the
Yeah.
end. Like, Autumn kept calling him the Gray Fox Hulk, and she was very sad when he went
It
to
looks-
regular.
Seeing it now is weird.
Yeah, colors on models can be changed
Sometimes
early
they're
on
weird.
so that they don't like blend into backgrounds and things like that while you're animating, right? And so the whole time Hulk was being animated, his hair was stark white, just completely white, which was hilarious to see.
Hulk doesn't use just for men.
It's pretty great. We did the same thing with I believe it was Tex in the Red versus Blue episode, because she wears all black. You know, you're animating from black sometimes, so she was colored yellow. And so we had a few times where an animator would be animating Tex and ask, like, wait a minute, when could Sister move like this? This doesn't make any sense. And it was like, oh, no, that's Tex. It's not Sister. She's just colored yellow for the ease of animation for now. Yeah, that's an interesting thing that comes up every so often.
Yeah.
I think we were still figuring out the cell shader pretty late into before we got into Bizpost as well. That was probably part of it as well. Because Christina's been pushing on that very hard to kind of push
Yes.
that cell shaded look, because it's pretty neat, especially with comic book characters and stuff. So
Yeah, she did something similar with Wonder Woman She-Ra as well, which looks phenomenal. I
Yep.
love the way that fight looks.
Yep.
And so I definitely wanted to take... So something you guys might have noticed watching this, and especially if you go back and watch Hulk, and by you guys I'm referring to viewers, not, especially if you go back and watch Hulk versus Doomsday, recently a lot of the 3D fights have been different in that the characters, the character models, have been stylized in a similar way. So previously we would just have to take models from like video games or whatnot. And so like we would put Hulk and Doomsday next to each other, and they would look like they're from wildly different sources because they were. But nowadays, we're making all that stuff from scratch. Like that Hulk model is not from a game. That Broly model is not from a game. We made it. Our modeler Sam Lee put those together and look fantastic. But because we're able to do that, we're able to ensure that we have a specific style for each individual fight, which is why this one kind of went in a cell shaded direction. Because I felt like, especially after last time we had Hulk in, it would feel more appropriate to kind of lean towards the Dragon Ball look for this one, especially since like you can't really not do a Dragon Ball look when you have a Dragon Ball character. Like, what the hell would Broly look like in comic book mode? It would look really strange. So it just naturally sort of went that route because a character like a Hulk can have a lot of different styles and has had a lot of different styles over the years. So that's been something that's been really cool to see sort of evolve over the past year or so, as Death Metal got integrated with Rooster Teeth animation more.
It's oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say it's nice too being able to make them like in house and stuff because like Broly, I think there were 3 different models for him for like each of his different forms. So that helps out a lot.
He used to be a big beefy boy, just like Hulk by the end there.
Yeah, and that's just knowing every piece in regards to the model, especially when there are multiple versions of the model. Oh, it wasn't even just like the different forms. It was like there was a battle damaged version as well. Clothes torn and things like that. So there was a bunch of different models being thrown around in the fight. That also helped with like stuff like Machamp versus Agora, which I saw a lot of people commenting like, where did that Machamp model come from? That must be the Pokken model. No, we made that so that we could rip his arms off.
Looks so good.
The things that we say in the show.
I mean, we had to, right? Like,
yeah. Oh, speaking of which, that's did you Molly? We're so desensitized to this, and like the amount of things that we can say and be like so serious about it with like the debate and things like that. I don't know. Did you ever experience any of that? Because it's one of my favorite things. It's sort of like I remember like Ben and I'll be having a conversation, and he'll be like, "Well, no, this person's gonna win because they can, like shoot that laser that comes from the ground or whatever." It's like, well, yeah, but that's not gonna work on them because remember they have they like ate the soul of a cat once, which allows them to be immune to physical. Like it's just like ridiculous shit. Like that. Then we say very seriously. So I don't know if you experienced any of that.
I haven't had the conversations, but I love reading stuff online. I learn a lot. So, and yeah, no, it's bonkers, but it's a lot of fun.
Well, we did have the Super Satan conversation, which
possibly
comes into that a bit, because
that's true.
That's a little ridiculous. I mean, if you actually read Immortal Hulk, it's done very well. I really like that run. But if you just say it out loud, right? Hulk is powered by the devil. It's like, okay.
They kind of ease you
when
into
you
it in
say
the comic.
Super Satan, it sounds way cooler.
For sure.
Powered by Super Devil.
And that's what Boomstick's for, because Boomstick's allowed to say things wrong.
Yeah, he's allowed to
oversimplify.
We actually did not incorporate the word Super Satan into the episode at all. I realized that a little too late. No, we never called him Super Satan. Even though that's basically what he is. Like, there is a Satan in the Marvel universe, and this is Super Satan. This is the ultimate Satan.
I didn't realize there were different
there was a
tiers of
line in there
Satan.
that was kind of a generalizing recap from Boomstick. Something along the lines of like, so what you're saying is like, I guess we just didn't use the terminology Super Saiyan.
My favorite line from it is I forgot my own favorite line. Because
my favorite line is
magic.
line. Sorry, what?
It's because it's Satan magic in reference.
Yeah.
And then Gerardo did this awesome like animated sequence of like Hulk falling in, or a panel of Hulk like falling into the one below all, and crazy epic music starts playing. It's like, all right, good job, Gerardo.
He's so good about that.
Yeah,
man. I'll never
my favorite sequence in the episode.
When we were doing Who Is, I was blown away because Gerardo was like, I want to edit it, and I was like, sure, great. I need someone to edit it anyway, so that'll be fun. And then I remember just watching what he did and make like he literally made comics come to life like
Mhm.
in the edit. Like it took so much, like the fact that he could do all that and in the time that he did was wild.
Cody the Dark Hero
See.
says, oh, wait, no. Somebody with a bunch of numbers says, were you drunk when you had that conversation? No, that's literally what it was. He's Super Satan. It's kind of wild. Yeah. So Lord Terminal, yes, the Source Filmmaker team does use existing models because that is SFM is a very different process than what these guys were working with. Again, going back to the idea that like every death battle is its own thing. Every episode has its own process, its own style, its own presentation. It just doesn't line up in any way. And a lot of that does come from the fact that we use completely different tools for different episodes, whether it's 2D or 3D. Even in those like simple denominations, there are different tools being used depending on the episode, depending on the matchup, depending on what is best available to make those happen. So yeah, SFM is going to be an entirely different thing. These guys, can you guys just kind of wrap up this conversation? Sort of like for all the aspiring animators out there, talk a little bit about what you do use and any tips or tricks or just general recommendations you might have.
Yeah, so 3D animation wise, we do everything in Maya. I'm pretty sure that you can get a student version of it for free, and there are a lot of free character models on like the website. There's really cool like Zelda one and a bunch of cool stuff you could do because really you get better by just start messing around. Another thing with animations like and people who want to be animators is just always be watching stuff. If there's a really cool scene that you like that you think is really cool, like whenever we were doing research for Broly, like we would take a YouTube video and then just frame through it to see exactly like how the character was moving and what they were doing. Just little things like that. I always recommend drawing. I know it's not everyone's favorite thing, but just doing that and yeah.
Yep, I remember. It's crazy because see, when Torian would have his setup, it was like 3 monitors, like in front of him, and then there was the just the watching stuff monitor, which is the 4th one that was up to the top left, and it was like something was always on, like kung fu movies, anime fight sequence, like just all of this stuff, and like he's just always watching fight choreography, which then would make its way into his animations.
It would inspire some new thing in him.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's and just finding inspiration. Also, if you're really interested in like fight stuff, watching stuff, but like I mentioned before, animating to music is oddly a lot of fun. And it helps like with rhythm and everything. And I mentioned earlier too with we work in Maya, but also Blender is a free 3D program that is getting better and better every year. So I definitely recommend that if people are interested in 3D animation.
Didn't Ruby used to be animated in Blender?
It was Poser.
Oh, Poser. That's right. That's what it was.
We don't talk about that.
There it is.
A little different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I suppose that's probably comparable to SFM in a way. Then Billy, we already talked a little bit about Unreal and After Effects. What you guys use.
I was going to say, Mel, Maya is actually helpful, just in general, but there is Blender. There's also, like, I think an indie license for Maya that's significantly cheaper as long as you're not using it for high level
commercial stuff.
Yeah, exactly. I think you can even do small commercial stuff, just not big stuff. But Blender, I've been meaning to peek into that myself because I've been hearing it's quite useful now. But Unreal, as you're saying, Ben, Unreal is free. They give away assets every month that you can use, and as long as you're using it within Unreal, there's not really any monetary entry fee. There's tons of tutorials online, and I found it with my Maya background to be incredibly easy to use. Been very powerful. I've been toying around with it for last year solid and really digging it. So I highly recommend it.
Sets that are pre-lit.
Yep.
Great.
Yeah. if you are interested in trying out this sort of animation craziness, there are plenty of ways to get into it. Blender and Unreal are obviously very good to check out. Okay, but thank you all, thank you guys. That was awesome. I love really getting into the deets of this kind of stuff, and we went on even longer than I planned. So let's get to the community death battle.
How did you choose your internet provider? Well, chances are you probably didn't have much of a choice because these things are kind of like crazy monopolies, and your ISP is just what you have available wherever you bought a house or wherever you moved in, wherever you're renting. And it kind of sucks, and it means that you really can't put all of your online information into the hands of someone you trust because you don't even get to pick who has all that online information. But that's where our wonderful friends ExpressVPN come in. So what is ExpressVPN? It's a simple app for your computer and smartphone that encrypts all of your network data and tunnels it through a secure VPN server so that your ISP cannot see anything you do. And it's not just your ISP, it's like, websites that might store cookies and everybody who's tracking some stuff on you, which if you've noticed these days, people track all of your data, all of it. So just think about how much of your life is on the internet these days and how much you're putting out and your ISP is seeing and these tech giants are consuming, that you could just be like, hey, no, don't look at this, I don't want it, by getting ExpressVPN. I think VPNs are a great thing, especially now that we spend mainly our entire life online. So if you want to, you can stop handing over all your personal data to ISPs and other tech giants who mine your activity or sell the information, and you can protect yourself with ExpressVPN. So visit expressvpn.com/dbc. That's expressvpn.com/dbc to get 3 months free. Go to expressvpn.com/dbc right now and learn some more.
Which is a weird one that I'm totally on board with, but I don't know if you guys will know what this is. So the helicarrier from the MCU versus the Delphinus from Skies of Arcadia.
Great. Cool. I played Skies of Arcadia when it came out for Dreamcast. That's the last time I've touched it. So
yeah, also known as, I believe, Eternal Arcadia. Skies of Arcadia is one of my favorite games of all time, frankly. So I absolutely love that we're doing this. I just don't know if anybody else cares. But as always, with the community death battle, we leave it up to you guys to let us know who, or in this case, what you think should win and why. So let's go ahead and bring up the first answer.
all right, this one comes from Gentleman Top Hat. Says the Delphinus has 4 double-turreted cannons, torpedoes, and a powerful energy cannon that would destroy a helicarrier. It can take on powerful kaiju-sized monsters, and the crew members can increase its capabilities from defense to weapon power and repairing damage. Pretty solid argument there.
Yeah. Brings in a little bit of gameplay mechanics with the crew. The general idea of Skies is once you get your ship, the Delphinus, you can go recruit crew members. And they increase the stats of your ship, which is just them doing their jobs, basically. But let's go ahead and bring up the answer for the helicarrier.
Jason Sith says the helicarrier can go invisible from eyesight and radar. It carries Quinjets, which are equipped with nuclear missiles. Jesus. One was fired by World Security Council and redirected by Iron Man to destroy, flagship. Even Avengers
Chitauri.
struggle to fight against it.
Chitauri.
It's the crazy aliens from the first Avengers.
Oh, that's right.
I forgot about the nuke. Wait, was that from the helicarrier? I thought that was from... Oh, right. It was from a jet. It was from a jet that was on the helicarrier. That's right. They took off. One plane was launched, and Sam Jackson shot it down with a rocket launcher, but surprised the second one was there. Okay. Nuclear
Nuke argument's
hard.
pretty strong. It can go completely invisible and then blast the nuke.
Yeah.
What's interesting is we don't know any speed feats. Which ship is faster.
Which one is faster?
Mm-hmm.
Trying to remember, because I know in Skies of Arcadia you can fly around the whole world in just a couple of minutes. So maybe that could technically apply as a calc or whatever. but it's probably doesn't quite add up correctly. Either way, the Delphinus is supposed to be like the biggest, strongest, toughest ship in all the skies of Arcadia. So, for the most part, so I have a feeling it would stand up to it pretty well. It also has a giant fucking laser cannon.
Right.
The front of the Delphinus just opens up and it just fires a laser cannon.
It just fires a
Yeah, it goes moon cannon fire, and it just destroys everything. It one shots most things. And you do fight like kaiju monsters throughout the series, and they're supposed to be like world enders. Like if all 7, I believe there's 7, are woken, they will destroy the whole world. But the moon cannon does take a very long time to charge up. That might just be gameplay mechanics because you can't just start the fight with
the giant burr. Yeah.
Yeah. But if that is taken into account, that would give the helicarrier plenty of time to just nuke the thing.
Yeah. That's interesting.
Damn it.
Then a wild card, as they're fighting, the Outlaw Star comes flying in, and then
just throw in as many random flying ships as we can.
still like, what an idea! So yeah, it's like they're spaceships and they fight, but they like have arms and they grapple. It's like what?
Yeah, so I can just grab the helicarrier and throw it down. Just like, whatever.
Exactly.
Screw your nuke.
Wow.
Mel, Billy, I have no idea if you guys even know what the Delphinus is.
Based on the conversation from this week and last week, I think I would lean toward Delphinus just because the helicarrier goes down every other week.
That's true. That's true. I did
Granted,
see
because of superheroes, but
let me think. There was somebody on Twitter who posted an image of Iron Fist just punching it, and then it went down. I mean, Iron Fist is like kind of super powerful, but like not nuclear missile powerful per se. I'm pretty sure he punches the helicarrier, and then it just takes down the whole ship. I don't know if that's the MCU one. Probably not. That's probably in the comics. But I know that's a thing. So screw the helicarrier. Delphinus wins.
There you go. Why not?
Mel, vote. Which one are you voting for? Based on our very in-depth conversations.
You said one had a moon cannon?
Yes.
A moon cannon, yes.
That one, because that sounds cool. But I have no knowledge of either.
That's fine.
I think that's a good enough argument to me. Delphinus wins because it's got a moon cannon, and that sounds cool. I'm voting for the Delphinus as well, just because of that as well.
Same. So it's a sweep.
It's a sweep. Delphinus clearly wins, but of course, it's up to you all. So let's go ahead and bring up the poll. God damn it.
that's closer than I thought it was going to be, actually. I just figured based on... Yeah.
I mean, realistically, like, if we were to bring in all the comics and stuff, and I know the MCU has its own, like, expanded comic book history and whatnot, I'm sure there's a bunch of stuff that the helicarrier has that can take down the Delphinus, no problem.
Oh, for sure.
So that's
there's probably
pretty accurate.
like the amount of shields and defenses that thing probably has is crazy if you go through the comics.
Yeah. But, and a nuclear missile is a little tough to deal with. I mean, the poor Blue Rogue space pirates are going to be like, what is that? That's a weird little ball. I've never seen anything like that before.
Yeah.
They've never seen anything like that before.
Even if they moon cannoned the helicarrier, would that set the nukes off? Because then that would be bad.
I mean,
everyone dies.
Well, I don't know, actually. Moon cannon has weird magic moon energy, so whatever that does to nukes, sure.
Great.
Yeah, okay, cool. Well, that was that community death battle. Delphinus wins. All right, let's set up the new one. No, I lie. Let's set up the new one. Mel, do you have any ideas? What would you like to see in a death battle, or at least a character?
Oh gosh, I'm so bad at stuff on the spot. So I'm not entirely sure.
This is perfect.
What's one of your favorite characters?
What am
no
I-
pressure or
what-
anything, but all the pressure.
Yeah, no, like what's one of
Okay.
your favorite characters from like TV shows, anime, whatever?
I really like Raz from Psychonauts.
Ooh.
Okay.
Ooh.
And then we go.
yeah, now we do the Googling. Oh,
It's great. It's
Psychic
Psychonauts
powers
is
in
such
there.
a fun game. It's
Mhm.
such a weird
I know.
game.
I can't wait for the second one.
Ness automatically comes to my. Oh, yep.
Yep, Ness is
That's what pops up.
Ness,
Um,
Ness across the board, pretty much.
Oh, yeah, that was the first thing that came to my mind as well. We could do that unless somebody else has another. Billy, what do you think?
I mean, that seems like a good matchup off the top of my head.
Raz versus Ness. Let's do it. Okay, that is the next community death battle. Little psychic boys.
Yeah.
There you
let's
go.
do it.
Psychic,
Have we-
please.
Have we
Hmm?
never had an Earthbound character in Death Battle?
No, we have talked about Ness versus Sans before because that's relatively popular. And I think we might have done it as a community death battle. We might have done
That's
that too as a
crazy.
community death battle. But yeah, let's do it. Ness versus Raz. Earthbound or Mother versus Psychonauts. So let's do it. That's great. That's a really interesting one.
Mhm.
Yay,
I
I
have
did
no
something.
idea which direction that's going to go. Good job, Mel.
Thanks.
All your idea.
Totally. All of it. No
And
help
cat.
from Google.
As always, you can let us know who you think should win and why using hashtag DeathBattleCast on Twitter. Thank you all for joining us for another episode of Death Battle Cast. Mel, Billy, thank you as well. It was awesome having you on the show.
Oh, it's got a grumpy face.
She always does.
Clearly, we had a lot to talk about. We are a little over time, so let's go ahead and wrap things up. As always, be kind to yourself, be kind to others, be awesome. We'll see you next week.
Take care, everybody.